Architects in the construction world aren't as respected. Life is stressful. It takes about 7 years of good education from one of these NAAB accredited programs. So I love fine art, but I don't want to be the starving artist either. So there's a motorcycle. Because I go to an Ivy League school within the United States, scholarships are limited companies. They are going to prefer somebody who has not only a really strong portfolio, but you are responsible for finding your own job. It is hard, you know, but COVID within the United States, like your country, is just freaking like running wild. Nobody really cares about it anymore here.
Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today we have someone special from our own fraternity who will share with us great insights about studying architecture in USA, job placements and much more. So over to you, Natalie. Tell us something about yourself, your education and where are you from?
Hi, thank you so much for the invitation. My name's Natalie Perri. I am from Philadelphia, PA, within the United States. I am a current M.Arch candidate at University of Pennsylvania in Pennsylvania. And I'm a first-year graduate, so I just started my master's degree program, and yeah, that's me.
Coming to the second question, so tell us something about education system in USA. How do you guys start your schooling and what is the process of enrollment into an university after completing your schooling?
Yeah, so education to become a licensed architect is pretty strict here, I would say. Within the United States alone, there's one organization that really sets the standard and the guidelines for you to follow, and that's going to be the NAAB. And they basically outline the colleges within the within the whole university network in the United States, like what colleges qualify to give you a good degree to study architecture. So I always tell my viewers to check out like any NAAB accredited programming, but basically, to become licensed, you are going to need 2 degrees. You're going to need 1 undergraduate degree at any university of your choice, and you need an M.Arch degree. So I am in an M.Arch program, but you could also pursue what's called a professional degree. So a professional degree is typically a 5-year program within the United States, and that also counts for your undergraduate degree. So there are a lot of degree routes that you could go in, but all of these degree routes are approved by the NAAB. So it is essential that you research the school properly. On average, education wise, it takes about 7 years of good education from one of these NAAB accredited programs. So I did 4 years of architecture undergrad with my bachelor's of science in architecture at Ohio State, located in Columbus, Ohio. And right now I'm at UPenn for my M.Arch. So
Okay, that's pretty long process, I guess.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so tell us something about architecture in USA in terms of how people are sensitive about it, and is it a respectable profession there?
Yeah, so I actually was majoring in industrial design, and one thing I noticed right off the bat when I changed majors to architecture was the respect level for architects in general. Like, like went up. So when I was telling people I was majoring in design, I didn't really get a lot of respect from people. But when I changed majors to architecture, like that completely stopped. Now within the field itself, I will say that there is always going to be tension between civil engineers and engineers in general. There's a motorcycle. I live behind a highway, so you're probably gonna have to like edit that out. I apologize, but
Not a problem.
yeah. So okay. So civil engineers and engineering people in general have a very like strong tension with architects, because architects in general really focus on the aesthetics of building, making sure that the program works. However, structural engineers, obviously their main priority is to make sure that the building can stand properly. So yeah, they get in a lot of arguments all the time, and architects in the construction world aren't as respected, but they are still very well respected in society, I would say. So
Yeah. Oh, that's pretty nice. Okay, so what is one thing that inspired you to pursue architecture?
yeah, so for the longest I can remember, I was absolutely enthralled with fine art. So drawing, painting, I did those wolves in the back, and
That's amazing. I saw it on the Insta also.
thank you. Yeah, so I love fine art, but I don't want to be the starving artist either. So I wanted to find a way to incorporate creativity with something like beneficial for the world. So I kind of landed on architecture, and I first started studying architecture when I turned 19. And yeah, and I honestly never looked back since. And architecture is just like, you could do so much with an architecture degree. You could decorate interiors, you could design interiors, you could work with materials, you could work in construction, you could do like furniture design, graphic design. Like the opportunities with an architecture degree are honestly limitless. So yeah, so if you're kind of on the fence in between majoring in this and that, chances are if you do have an architecture degree, you can also like cover whatever creative thing that you're trying to do. So that's why I changed my major to architecture, and that's why I'm honestly really passionate about it, because I think it's just so eye-opening and incredible. So yeah.
Yeah, that is one of the things that is really amazing about our profession, that it gives a lot of opportunity and a lot of field to choose. Okay, so we
Yeah.
are now yeah, we are now getting into the academics. So for American students, what are the tuition fees in the university, and is it different from the students from the other countries? And also tell us about the scholarship for the foreign graduates. Is there any scholarship?
Yeah, so scholarship wise, it's going to depend on your school. If you're looking at a smaller liberal arts school in the United States per se, it's like they aren't going to have that much more funding than a super large school, just because like it's just not in their budget. They aren't producing that much revenue to give back to the student body. Maybe their alumni network also isn't as strong, so also keep that in mind, because when you are selecting a school, you also are selecting their alumni network to network with to get your first architecture job. Like that's another thing that I think, sorry, this is kind of a tangent, but that's another thing I think that is really important to look, not just scholarship, but also like the alumni network in a school. Yeah, sorry about that. But scholarship wise, it is going to depend on the school. So because I go to an Ivy League school within the United States, scholarships are limited. And if you get one, like that's honestly amazing. It might not be as much money though if you are going to like a larger school, but it's not as prestigious as an Ivy League. So all of these colleges across America are going to have different financial scholarships to give to their students, and you have to determine yourself if it's worth it to attend this school with less scholarship money, but then you get like the prestigious like elite degree, or whatever you really want to accomplish in your life. It's completely up to you. So yeah.
Okay, so we'll come to Ivy League college. We will discuss it in detail in the later section. So also after graduation, you pursued for masters, and but I want to ask, what is the job scenario after completing your graduation? So if someone don't want to pursue masters, what are the job options they have?
Like post graduation.
Okay, apart from post graduation, if someone wants to join a company after completing his graduation.
Yeah. So okay. So I've had multiple mentors in architecture, like people who are older with me in their 40s and 50s who are licensed to practice within the United States. And they have all told me, like, a degree from anywhere, super great. Like, it's super great to have that knowledge, especially at like that master's level. Like, you're just kind of baseline. It doesn't really matter like your GPA. It matters more about your portfolio and like your network. It's another part. I don't know if you can hear that. So that's what they kind of focus on. They kind of focus on your portfolio. However, if you like, because you're asking about the Ivy Leagues, if you get a degree from an Ivy League institution, you're kind of elevated on like a minor pedestal. Like you aren't like perceived as like, oh wow, like fantastic. But if you're applying for like the top 10 architecture firms across the globe, I'm talking about like big architects, OMA,
James,
Zaha Hadid.
yeah, Jahan,
Yeah, yeah, Zaha Hadid, like all of those like big name companies, they are going to prefer somebody who has not only a really strong portfolio, but also like comes from a competitive program. You know what I mean? And I'm not trying to imply like if you went to a liberal arts college or something like that, you will never get the opportunity to work at such a large firm like Zaha Hadid Architects. However, it does like kind of elevate your like application a little bit because the Ivy League programs like Columbia, Harvard, just across the United States, they're super competitive and super time consuming, super hard. So that's one benefit I would say.
Okay, so guys, since she talked about portfolio, so she has an amazing portfolio, and you can find it on her YouTube channel. So I will put that in the description. Okay, so next thing that I want to know is, I mean, you told us that to become a licensed architect, you had to do 5 years graduate, then 2 years postgraduate degree. And after that, is there any separate exam for that, or you just get it, you just apply and you get it from there?
Yeah, so NCARB is another architecture organization here, and basically they're the organization responsible for licensing architects. It's a super long process, right? So like NAAB is responsible mainly for your education, but NCARB actually gives you the license.
Okay.
So to actually get your license to practice architecture, honestly, it's kind of ridiculous like how long it takes. But you need, let's say like you finish your education component, you have your master's in architecture. Then you also need to complete, I think it is 3,750 hours of internship work. And during your internship years, you are going to have to work under a licensed architect. You're going to have to do everything from site planning to construction documents to client meetings, project setup, all that good stuff, just to kind of train you to become a good, efficient architect. And then you're going to have to take a series of tests, and each test costs $250. So it's really expensive. And I think there's seven. I think they were debating cutting it down to 5, but I think right now it's still 7. So it's an extremely long process, and I think you really, really have to love architecture to keep going with it. Another thing that also happens is when you get your license to practice architecture, you are also going to have to renew it and keep updating your educational component. So whether that's attending workshops or lectures regarding architecture, taking a structural engineering class or something like that, you're going to have to do that periodically throughout your time as a licensed practicing architect. It's not just like they give your degree and you can run with it and like go design the greatest building this world has ever seen, right? Like, no, it doesn't work like that. Like, you always have to keep updating that like educational component and renew your license. So
Okay, that's amazing. Okay, now coming to masters. So, what is the process of application for the masters?
like to college.
Yeah. Like you have applied to Ivy League colleges. So, what was the process of application? How you began with the application?
Yeah. So honestly, the application was really tedious, super long. It's kind of a bitch. It took me about a year to apply, like to get all of my materials ready over the course of a year. I'm not saying it took me like every single day I worked on my application for an hour. That's not what I'm saying, but it took a year of planning, emailing people, doing my portfolio. It took me 9 days straight. Like I slept for 3 hours every night. I'm serious. Like 9 days straight. It was ridiculous. You have to get recommendation letters and they have to be sparkling. So all of your work in studio, it does matter. It matters how you interact with your professor because they're responsible for writing your recommendation letter. You have to write a really good college essay. Like there's so many components. And because I only applied to one Ivy League, but the standards for acceptance into that Ivy League were obviously much higher. So all of the other schools I applied to in the States, like got a full ride, full scholarship there. But because it was an Ivy League, I didn't get a full ride to UPenn. And they're allowed to do that, right? Because it is so competitive and it is so prestigious. You know what I mean? Like that Ivy League degree mentality. They're allowed to do that because they can, and people will still attend their school, So any advice I would say for anyone who wants to attend a master's program, especially if your goal is to attend an Ivy League like Harvard or Columbia, UPenn, it would be start early. It would be to email in constant contact in a way with your like admissions counselors, because they'll recognize your name if you're in constant contact with them, asking them questions about the program, just like any questions you may have. So like they're gonna recognize your name when the applications come through and say, wow, like that person was really into our program. Writing the essay, I wrote it the summer before, so I would recommend writing the essay super early on, getting so many people to check it, to edit it, to look over it, because it does matter. And then of course, the king component to your application is going to be your portfolio. I cannot stress this enough. Your portfolio matters so much. So yeah, that would be my advice, and good luck.
Okay, so what is the scenario of the masters like about job placements? So companies come there in the campus, they recruit like that, or you have to apply your own, and yeah, about that.
Yeah. So you are responsible for finding your own job. No company's gonna walk into studio, right, and just give you a job. Yeah, but your school, this is why I mentioned the alumni stuff earlier. Your school already has a good, expansive network, no matter where you go. All the people who went to that school before you, they're alumni and they're like out in the world. And if you have a bigger architecture program, that just means you have more opportunities to network with other alumni from your school and potentially get a job. If you are looking for a job, it's the same deal. Like, you have to email the job. You have to kind of make that personal connection. My school will have career fairs and how to write a resume and how to tailor your portfolio for a potential job offer, like that kind of thing. And those tools that they give you at school will help you get a job, but they aren't just going to hand you one. Like, you still have to work for it. So yeah.
Okay. So you did your graduation from Ohio State University, right? And
Yes. Yeah.
okay, and also you are doing your masters from one of the elite group of universities. So tell us about your life being a student of one of the best universities in the world.
Yeah. So life is stressful. If you're in any postgraduate degree, it's going to be harder than your time in undergrad, which is fine. It's fine. But I think just because Penn's program is really competitive, like they're working us. Like, they are working us. And I actually just posted a video yesterday about like my first mental breakdown at Penn, just because it is so much to balance. But I think once you are able to balance everything, to learn more effective time management skills, and like even sleeping really helps. It's a lot to balance. I won't sugarcoat it. It is hard, but it's much easier to start something and not finish it, but it's harder to start something and finish it. So just keep with it. Take a day off if you need it, but like pick up the pace and get back going.
I saw your one of the video and you were corona positive. So tell us your experience with that and how you dealt with that. That was really amazing.
Yeah, COVID. I had COVID back in, I think it was June of 2020. And I know that we were talking about it before we started recording, but COVID within the United States, like your country, is just freaking like running wild. Nobody really cares about it anymore here, and people get it all the time. So I had a minor strand of it, but I will say I have some weird lasting effects, like where I'm out of breath if I'm walking up the stairs, and I'm pretty healthy, honestly. I eat super clean and like all that stuff, but don't get it. Wear your mask, wash your hands. But other than that, I'm pretty normal, I would say.
Okay. So also, how Corona has affected the regular lifestyle there? I mean, in terms of how universities are conducting classes, is it virtually or physically you have to present?
Yeah, so I'm currently enrolled in 5 classes. 4 of them are completely online, and then my one class, studio. Actually, the most important class I take is studio. That is a hybrid model. So I go on to Penn's campus twice a week. And we just, it's not a typical studio. It's not a typical year, because we do have international students that we are accommodating. So we will have to Zoom call everyone in the class during studio time. So I don't know. I actually personally stopped going in to studio just because it wasn't as like, it's not worth it, because I am commuting. I didn't get an apartment because of COVID downtown in Philly, but COVID definitely has impacted every aspect of life, and the education quality, I'm sure, isn't as high as it could be, because you aren't learning from your peers as much as you should be because of COVID.
Yeah, that is one of the most important things.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So I think we have did all the questions, and also tell us what is your future plans, like what you think about after masters, what you're planning to do, whether you wanted to start your own practice, or you want to work under some architect.
Yeah, sure. So I would like to work for a more top tier architecture firm, and I personally love rendering. So rendering, if you're new to architecture, it is the like producing high quality photograph, some kind of artistic expression of what the building should look like, even though it is completely conceptual. And I think I'm good at it because I do art, right? And I genuinely like that like facet of architecture. So I'm okay with doing that. I also have expressed strong desire to work at a healthcare architecture firm. So, but in all honesty, over these next 3 years, my time at UPenn, I hope to kind of learn more about what I'm good at in architecture, and yeah, we'll just see, because I feel like nobody really knows what's going to happen in the future anyway. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So tell me one thing. What all softwares their firms use there, like for modeling, for rendering, and also what you guys use as a student?
Yeah. So we use Rhino. I don't know if you guys use it,
Yeah.
but yeah. So we use we use Rhino for just basic model making. We will use a program called V-Ray, which is a plugin for Rhino for rendering.
Yeah. Yeah.
I use it's a good one. It is. I use Adobe, like the entire cloud. Like I use Premiere to create animations. We've been animation heavy in COVID times. I use Adobe Illustrator all the time. Like I live on Adobe Illustrator. Other programs I use would be Blender for any kind of animation.
Mhm.
I don't really use AutoCAD, but I am trained in AutoCAD. We use like SketchUp here and there, but not really, honestly. So I would say the main one would be Rhino. Knowing how to
Yeah.
use Rhino is really good.
Yeah, because while I was also applying in USA and also in Europe, and they were the most of the firms were asking that whether you know Rhino or not. So Rhino is quite famous there. Okay, so
Yeah.
any tips would you like to give to students who are aiming to study in USA, or particularly in the top universities of states?
Any advice? Let's think. My advice honestly would be like if you are applying to a top tier university, it would be to like email them. I know that sounds weird and you probably weren't expecting that answer, but it's really good just to kind of show your interest, and if they have any advice that they give to you, please follow it. So even though like this piece of advice may seem small, like I'll just send an email, if they're saying like brush up on your skills in Rhino, go do it. Like if they're saying, really focus on your portfolio, go do it. So they're going to be your best guide onto how to get into what school you're interested in, because they're the experts on that school. So anyway, but good luck with it. It's an exciting time. So yeah.
Okay, that's nice. That's nice. Okay, I think I am done with all the questions that I wanted to ask.
Awesome.
This
Okay.
was really a valuable information, and I hope this will help students a lot. So, Natalie, I wish you all the best for your future endeavors. Keep making great videos. I am always following you. And I'm saying, guys, her cinematography is really, really amazing. The way she shoots videos, and please check out her channel. And okay, so that's all.
Awesome. Thank you.